Police say the hunter discovered the bodies wrapped in plastic in a barrel. The mystery bothers residents today.
Who are the victims? Law enforcement investigators were working so hard to try to get a name, and nothing was working. Because you can't connect the dots unless you know who the victims are.
So while the investigation in New Hampshire is going cold, little did anyone know that across the country, a 5-year-old girl could be the key to cracking this case.
So it's 1986 at an RV park in Scotts Valley, California.
A guy by the name Gordon Jensen was staying at the Holiday Host RV Park with his daughter, Lisa. She was about 5 years old.
He was living as the kind of fix-it-up guy, handyman guy at this park, and he had a camper on a pickup truck that he was living in with Lisa. She was little, so she was like always running around the campground, playing with other kids, you know, bike riding.
He ends up befriending a couple, Catherine and Richard Decker. The Deckers are there sort of temporarily for a few months. They begin to talk to Gordon Jensen a little bit more, get to know him a bit more, and he starts to sort of confide in him. He says that he's having a really hard time raising Lisa on his own.
The Deckers sensed something was wrong. They heard Lisa crying at night. Her clothes weren't in the best shape.
She looks a little thin. Looks a little dirty.
He tells various stories about what happened to her mother. I think maybe she died of cancer, he said.
Another story was they were in a restaurant, it was robbed, she panicked, ran out in the street and got run over in traffic.
He actually broke down and cried, and he was incredibly convincing about his grief and about him wanting Lisa to have a better life.
And Mrs. Decker told him, "You're so lucky, she's so beautiful and cutie, you know, cutie pie."
And the couple starts thinking, well, we have a daughter who has wanted a little girl for a really long time. Maybe something could happen.
Gordon Jensen eventually presented the idea of them taking Lisa on a trial adoption basis.
And so they take Lisa with them down to Southern California where their daughter lives and have a sort of 2-week trial period.
An attorney basically told them, have him sign here, here, and here, have that notarized, and we'll file it in the court, and then she could be yours, you know what I mean? Your daughter can adopt her.
Once the Deckers take Lisa with them down to Southern California, she starts to show signs that she's been a victim of abuse.
And the Deckers contacted the authorities, and she was interviewed.
She was just an innocent child. She was just an innocent child. It breaks your heart to see a child like that be traumatized by an adult.
And they reach out to try to contact Gordon Jensen back at this RV park, presumably in the hopes that they could get this adoption legalized so that they could keep. He's vanished.
When they went back up to have him sign the papers, he'd quit his job and left, was gone.
He was nowhere to be found. The next day, I started meeting folks at the mobile home park, trying to find out where he was.
There's no Gordon Jensen. You know, there's nothing.
We just knew that we had a guy and he abandoned the kid. That's all we had.
The San Bernardino detectives talked to the owner, proprietor of the business, and actually asked him, is there anything in here that only that guy touched? And he goes, yeah, he went out to the store, I gave him money, and he bought the VCR surveillance system for the campground.
We went in the game room, and he said he installed all this stuff in here. I said, I wonder if he's got some prints in that panel. We took the first plate off, and sure enough, it was wiped clean. You could see where he had taken a cloth and wiped on the inside. We took the second plate off, And lo and behold, on the inside of that second plate, there were 8 fingers. We hit the jackpot.
Once he got his fingerprints back, it came back to another name.
Curtis Kimball.
Curtis Kimball.
Curtis Kimball.
Gordon Jensen is Curtis Kimball.
It turned out that he had been in a drunk driving accident with Lisa in the car in Orange County in the mid-'80s. Once he made bail, he immediately absconded.
And then 2 years after he flees the RV park, Curtis Kimball is pulled over driving a stolen vehicle.
When he's arrested, he gives the name Gerald Mockerman, along with a matching social security number and date of birth.
Fingerprinting confirms that he is the same guy, Curtis Kimball, Gerald Mockerman, Gordon Jensen, and at that point he's taken into custody for the charges of child abandonment.
He served 1.5 years in prison and was released on parole. The day he was released on parole, he fled and became a fugitive.
And it's going to be almost 10 years before police see him again.
And because her father had absconded and purportedly the mother was deceased, the Deckers couldn't keep her. And so she went into Child Protective Services.
It was heartbreaking for the Deckers. She'd really become a part of their family. They'd become close, very close.
I think it must have been hard for the Deckers to rescue Lisa from this horrible situation, only to then have to turn around and give her away again.
I went to her home, picked the child up, and took her into protective custody.
No one realizes it yet, but the story of Lisa is going to be the beginning of so many things. It's going to be the beginning of forensic genealogy as a technique. It's going to be the beginning of how the Bear Brook murders get solved. This case is kind of the beginning of a whole new era of criminal investigation.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.